gonna, just like that, we are gonna start this off this morning. Man, I love Thursdays, and I don't particularly love them at 6:30 in the morning my time, but I do love you guys. So therefore, I also love Thursdays at 6:30 apparently in Scottsdale. So let's get started this morning. Think about who. Let's start. Let's pause and slow that down. Gratitude is important because it sets the tone for our entire day. So it's not that you have nothing better to do right now than just think about what you're grateful for, but go ahead and set your tone for the day. Who are you grateful for? Who do you want to shout out? All of that stuff. I'm going to mute more people. There we go. Oh, that sun is in my eyes, you guys. I can't even see.
Can you hear me?
Nobody has anybody?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
This is Casey on Daniel's audio. I want to shout out Adelina. Yesterday we got to see you on stage at Built How. You freaking killed it. I was talking to Mia afterwards, who interviewed a ton of people yesterday. She said she thought you were the best interview, that you had the best info, the best content. We were whooping and hollering. The whole room went crazy. It was really awesome. So thank you for repping us and for bringing the content always. We're so lucky to have you. So grateful for all you bring. And yeah, just, it was awesome. Shout out.
Agreed.
Oh, thank you guys. And, I will say, like, just like all of us, okay, you guys are my client, right? And your clients are the clients, right? So it's like, if you don't like, I don't know, Casey, if I used you as an example, right? If you as an agent, think about your agent days, if you don't have enough clients, like, how do you even get the reps in to ever like get the experience to ever be able to speak to anything with an expert level, right? So you guys as agents, like, you're getting your reps in with clients. I get my reps in with agents, right? And together over time, 6, 7, 10 years, we get to become experts, and everybody thinks that we're awesome and overnight successes. And overnight successes are never overnight, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, guys, who else? I got to hear from other people. Like, appreciate the love. Thank you, Casey. But the rest of you, who has gratitude this morning? Go ahead and unmute yourself, because I don't know if I can see your hands.
I'll go. Hey, it's Sharon. I am so grateful just to have the opportunity to be here to network with the people. And then also shout out to Mackenzie and Heike and Matt back home that are taking care of all of our agents. And then just the opportunity to meet our Texas people in person. We had a fantastic gathering the other night. But just thanks to the team for allowing Mary and I both to be away from the office and just really get immersed in the business.
Right on. I love it. Daniel Weiser, did I see your hand up or no?
I am grateful for these boys, Casey and Brandon. It's we've been Airbnb-ing it together, and it's just been a blast unpacking like the day at the end of the day, just talking about what was shared and just kind of like how that applies. So yeah, it's been really fun. Grateful for you guys.
Thank you.
I love that. Everyone back home, who's got gratitude? Anybody sign anything, do anything cool? Any of your teammates really show up for you?
I'll go.
Or is your life just crap?
I'm grateful for our team and the resources that we provide or are provided to us. I've had a really weird situation with a gentleman that's trying to figure out foreclosure in Chapter 13. And so just all of the resources, and you're just so well connected that anytime I have a question, Adelina in particular is just like, oh yeah, talk to this person, they can definitely help you out with it. And it's huge because I've never had to deal with somebody in that situation, and just being able to provide that and to help him to where he doesn't just lose money on it. He's got some equity that he can take advantage of. So really thankful for that.
Yeah. And one of the value props that we have is not that we've seen a lot of foreclosures or short sales or any of that recently, but we're starting to see a little uptick, just a little. So just so you guys know, we have an entire short sale and foreclosure department. that Ben is partners in. So if you ever run into any of that, guys, they are your partners. They know how to do all the craziness of the legal paperwork for all the banks and all of that stuff. And we've used them several times, not in the last couple of years because we haven't needed to, but you just never know. Just never know. Love that. Love having resources. Katie, good morning.
Good morning. I'm just really grateful for the Davis team and that Valencia, Jordan, and Bart are there at the conference and are going to come back and share all the information. And I'm just really honored because I heard Valencia referred to as like the script sensei, and I thought that that was hilarious and perfect for her. I'm just honored to be a part of their team.
I love that. And she really, truly is. And here in Texas, we get to hear from her a whole lot more than the rest of the world gets to hear from her. So that's really great. I love it. Love it. So this has been a really great conference. And I feel so blessed that so many of our Texas partners were able to join. Not everybody was able to join. And sometimes family stuff come up and sometimes it's not good timing. It doesn't even matter. But we were able to have 27 of our partners here. This was the first live event, and I'll tell you, I think it's gone really well. So that means there will be other live events, right? Because if this one was really bad, we just would go back to Zoom. But it's felt really safe. It's felt really happy. We had a dinner with the 27 partners that came from Texas, so that was fun. And we had a full fast-paced day yesterday with information. So I wanted to bring the conference back to everyone this morning and be able to bring our top takeaways. So this morning, the folks that I've asked to be on, I'm going to spotlight them, and the goal for them to share is what they're taking away, why they're taking it away, how they're going to implement it, and what impact they feel that will make in their business. So if you give me just a second, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I can. I don't know if I can. Sharon, can you spotlight people for me? Is that possible?
I can try for sure.
Okay, Daniel in Austin. Casey in Austin. You can do multiple people. It'll let you just.
They're together. So, and then.
Jonathan and
Okay.
Bart. Jonathan Austin, Bart in Dallas. Hey, there's my boys. There we go. So we've got Jonathan and Bart. And then after that, we have Ann in Dallas. Oh man, we got to add some lady power in here. Kayla in Midland. And it'll go real fast. So while I'm doing this, you guys get your notes out because these guys are going to go fast. Michael in Midland.
Almost there.
Yeah, you're good. Bart, do you want to start here in just a second? Just giving you a heads up. Perfect.
Sure.
I think we've got the wrong Kayla. Just FYI.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I bet that Kayla has something good to share.
You never know. You never know.
Of course.
Perfect. So Michael, so we got Kayla in Midland, Michael in Midland, Michaela in Dallas. There we go. I see the lady. Michaela in Dallas, Michael in Midland, and Laura in Midland. And that will wrap us up because we've got quick fire people this morning. So Daniel in Austin, Casey in Austin, Jonathan in Austin, Bart in Dallas, Ann in Dallas, Kayla in Midland, Michael in Midland, Michaela in Dallas, and Laura in Midland. Here's the fun part. All these people, you guys, they're not morning people either. Some of them are getting ready to go on a flight right after this, and we appreciate you. So, Bart, what was your one takeaway? We're ready for you. What was it? Why? How? And what's the impact?
Okay, I'm squeezing in more than one.
Go for it. I'm ready for you.
One was when Ben talked about what a successful day looks like to him, and that it's basically just doing the priorities in the right order. And that what that looks like for him is the night before he spends about 5 to 10 minutes to think about tomorrow. He thinks about what does winning tomorrow look like? What's the one thing that I have to accomplish tomorrow for it to be a win? And then he lists out his priorities 1 through 5. 1 most important, 5 least important. Anything after 5 to him is just a task. If it gets done, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. And then he goes a little more extreme after that, where he looks at his calendar and he might just take everything off that isn't his top priority. I don't know that I'm ready to do that, but I do like the idea of literally listing out what are my priorities to be successful. Because that leads into my next one, which is essentially systemizing anything that you do more than once. Basically, what made the experience great? All right, what can be systemized then? Because if you can systemize it well enough and then something goes wrong, you can pinpoint exactly what went wrong. Where if you're like me or a lot of agents and you're just kind of winging it with each client where everybody gets a completely different experience, something goes wrong that could be one of a dozen things. Where if you will make it systemized, you can outright pinpoint exactly, oh, boom, that's what went wrong. That's where we dropped the ball in this one experience. And then also, just so there's something tangible that you can go do immediately, Ben dropped an open house script at the end that just goes, thank you for coming in. People have been coming in for 2 reasons. They have a home to sell and want to get an idea of what their home is worth, or they're in the market to buy a home. Which one are you? I love that because I think so many people forget to lead gen for sellers at open houses. And there is a woman named Kimberly Grogan. She was the 2012 KW International Rookie of the Year. And she happens to be one of my best friends. She built her business on open houses, and she understood from the very beginning, she cared about sellers at open houses. So she goes after sellers. She's taken that extreme now to where she almost just disregards you if you're a buyer 10 years later. But in the beginning, it's her priority was sellers. So that's a great way to get sellers. And once you say that, or they're in the market to buy a home, which one are you? And then you shut up. And somebody said yesterday, but what if they're neither? You mean, what if this stranger that you're never going to see again doesn't use you to buy or sell a home? Who cares? You shut up and you let them answer.
I love that, Bart. And what I'd add to Bart, afterwards, going back to Ben's like, aha, I went up to Ben and I'm like, I don't remember in the last 7 years you ever canceled me, because he said he cancels like half his day the next day, right? And I was like, you've never canceled me. And he's like, oh no, what I mean, I wouldn't cancel my partners. I would, just like you wouldn't cancel a listing appointment. You guys aren't going and canceling listing appointments, are you? No, he doesn't cancel partners. What he does is he cancels like the vendor lunch, the person with, I want to pick your brain, right? And they're never going to do anything with it, right? Like he canceled those sort of things, right? So if it's on your calendar, if you're not the one that put it on there, you're on somebody else's calendar and you're living their life. So you got to make sure that you want to live that life. That was really, really good how he sets up his day. I love that, Bart.
And then last thing I'll say is Adelina's talked about success just being consistency, and used the analogy of, if I have 30 apples, I can tell which one the good one is. But if I have 1 apple, that 1 apple looks good no matter what. It's the same thing with business. If you have, when I was teaching my kids how to ride a bike, listen, I was a late bloomer on a bike. I barely know how to ride a bike. I don't need to be teaching people how to ride a bike. So I just told them the answer to everything is pedal. You feel wobbly, pedal. You, no matter what, pedal. That's the answer to everything. And in real estate, the answer is lead gen. If you have 1 buyer and that transaction is going awry, you're trying to hang on as tight as you can to that 1 buyer. If you have 30 clients, you can tell which one the good clients are and you can refer the other ones out. It's the same idea. It's the answer to everything is lead gen, but it's this one transaction's going bad, lead gen. I don't know what to tell you. Go lead gen, lead gen. Lead gen is the answer to everything. So if you got 30 clients, you know which ones the good ones are.
I love that. I love that. Thanks, Bart. You're awesome. Love seeing you. Anne, do you want to go, Miss Anne? Such a pleasure seeing you.
Oh, good morning. Great pleasure to see you too. It was wonderful to see you on stage, and just have been enjoying every minute of getting together with the family. It's always great to get together with the family. So thank you, Adelina. One of the things that really stood out to me, because I have struggled with this probably through my whole career, is I tend to compare my insides to someone else's outsides. I really look at what they're doing and then figure out, well, I'm not measuring up, or I'm not doing what they're doing, or whatever that looks like. So Lucas talked about creating a vision. And I have found that my vision has changed over the years that I've been in real estate. My vision today is not necessarily what it was 8 years ago. And of course, it's definitely not what it was when I first joined Jordan almost 5 years ago. So make my own vision. I have to make it, or the world's going to impose it on me. And they're going to make it for me, and I'm going to have to conform to that vision. That was step number one. And then step number two is to follow step number one. And so that, that's always a challenge to relook at where you're kind of falling off a little bit and get back on track. And it says, when what is present, when the why is crystal clear, which is another thing that tends to kind of get a little wonky for me. I have to make sure I know what I want each year, or whatever that looks like. And then somehow it always shows up. Like at the beginning of the year, it didn't look like I was going to have any real estate transactions for the year for the first couple of months. And then it's just kind of turned around, and I'll probably have 12 closed by the end of May. So you just have to always know that the how will show up if you do the rest. Learn how to define winning on a daily basis. I tend to be a long-term goal setter and really put it up and really look at it instead of looking at every day. What I have to accomplish today. What are my goals today? What are the top 5 things? And that's one thing Ben alluded to, was what are the top 5 things you're going to do today? Now, the list could be 15 long, but you've got to at least get through the first 5. The other 10 probably aren't that important. So you really need to prioritize and make sure that you've got them in the right order. And then number 4 is learn how to see failing through a different set of lenses. Failure for me was always, I failed. It was a beat up thing. You have to look at failure as a step up for success, a setup for success. So with every failure, you're one step closer to success. And like when you're doing your lead gen, every no is just getting you one step closer to the yes. So if you get 20 no's, you're just about around the corner to get that yes, or to get that pickup. So you always have to look at failure as stepping forward. And then last, many of us are looking at failures through a lens of pain. And you have to really see why you're looking at failure that way. And a lot of mine stemmed from pain, whether it been, in my other career, life, whatever that looks like. So you really have to, in some ways, what I kind of got out of this was you have to look at failure as a real plus. If you can fail successfully, then you can really begin to grow a successful business. And how many times have you had a client that has either canceled a contract? I had one actually terminate yesterday, but that's okay, because she's still looking, she's still moving forward. And at some point she'll find just that home she wants, and we'll move forward with that. You've got to not beat yourself over like, what did I do wrong? What happened? The other agent wanted to know why she terminated. I said, I don't know. She just decided it was her time during the option, and that's her prerogative. So that was kind of what my takeaways were really for. And at one point, someone leaned back in their chair and kind of grinned at me when they saw the part about the failures, because I tend to beat myself up over those. And that's something I'm really going to work on this year. Number one is not comparing myself to anyone else, strictly working my own business and moving forward, because when you do that, then you tend to grow and move forward. Otherwise, you get stuck in that woe be to me, feel so sorry for myself. And the real plus is that I have a phenomenal leader who will get me out of that funk. And trust me, she doesn't waste any time getting you out of that. So she definitely can get her point across in a very good way, and you just turn around. And that's what happened at the beginning of this year. So guys, it's been great. Loved every minute of it, being with my own team, but also then being with all of you and meeting and networking new people. So hope you all enjoyed it, and see you soon.
And it hits different when you say it, because you've got so much life experience. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I just turned 71 in September.
71 years
February.
young. 71 years young. This lady has a lifetime. She has probably 3 lifetimes compared to some of us, or maybe 2 lifetimes. And it hits different when you say it. And I had no idea what you were going to say, but those lessons hit different when you say it, when you've had 71 years worth of experience to say it from. What was the first and the second one? Can you read those off? Because I don't know. I think some people may have tuned into you after you started talking. The first and the second, I'm getting a few messages. They didn't write it down. First and second
The
lessons.
first one was make my own vision, make sure I know what my personal vision is, or the world is going to make it for me and impose it on me.
Okay, so first make your own vision, or the world is going to make the vision for you and impose it on you. Got it?
And then
Second.
number 2 is follow step number 1. And then when what is present, then when the why is crystal clear about why you have that vision, then the how is going to show up.
So when you know what you want, you are crystal clear on why you want it. The how will always show up, you guys. And you are fabulous.
Thank
I
you.
love
But
all 71 years of it.
you made me feel a little bit older when you said some of these people are 3 times older than me.
They're
I'm
babies.
like-
They're still crawling around. We're still trying to figure out life, and we appreciate the value that you bring us. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Who wants to go next? Who's excited about going next? I'm not even gonna pick on you. I'm gonna let you. Oh, I saw Jonathan's hand. Papa, let's go.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So what really stood out to me was when Chris Suarez was up there. I mean, I feel like we get to hear him every single week, which is awesome. But it really hit differently in person. So he talked a lot about playing the long game. That's something I think a lot about. I think we all talk about playing the long game with regards to real estate is the long game, right? Like we're planning on being here for 30 plus years, or at least 30 plus years of steady income, however we decide to build that out, right? So he talked about, he kind of made some jokes about baseball, and the longest game was 25 innings, which is pretty comical for everyone. It's like, why would anyone want to sit through that? But then he got more detailed into a Stanford study talking about kids with picking their favorite like treat and putting it on the table in front of them, right? Using marshmallow, chocolate chip cookie, whatever it was, and basically saying, okay, listen, if you can wait 15 minutes, you'll get a second one. Well, a huge majority of those kids, they couldn't wait the full 15 minutes. And so they went ahead and grabbed the marshmallow. Some of them licked the marshmallow and didn't eat it. All kinds of funny things. And I just found that very relatable to what a lot of us are going through in real estate. Real estate's we see everybody else's successes or what looks to be success, right? And we want that immediately. And sometimes we make decisions that are like, okay, this is going to get me a quick success, where it's super important for us to just like slow down and remember that we're building a long-term game. So for me, I find that instead of taking, the quick buyer or chasing my tail all the time, like slow down a little bit, focus on what Ben and Chris, what everyone's teaching us with regards to generating sellers, building a long-term business, and really digging into focusing on our database, right? Staying in touch with those people, and really closing that gap that we always talk about with regards to, we service one client and then we never talk to them again, right? Like, so it's very important to stay in front of them and continue to build that long-term business. I also really like the fact, or Vince kind of went into with the long-term focus. He talked about 2 key peoples. He talked about Jeff Bezos, with Amazon, and how every year he writes a letter to all of his investors, and he says, okay, this is day 1. And I think we all need to show up every day that this is day 1, right? Whether it is day 1 for you or it's day 30 in the business, whatever it is, like you got to show up with a fresh set of eyes and work ethic and focus on what needs to be done today to be successful. And then my final point that I really liked that kind of ties all this in is just the fact that our business compounds, right? So it's a compounding interest. Everything we do, everything we invest in, it's just going to continue to build. And he talked about Warren Buffett, imagine that. But how Warren maybe isn't the most successful, 1 year, 2 years, there's plenty of investors that are seeing 60% returns, where Warren's seeing, over 21% return over his career essentially. And just how important it is because he's consistent, right? He's smart. He's methodical in his investments. And I think that there's just a lot to learn from that. So final note, just build long-term habits. Be consistent. Don't expect instant gratification. Just know that it's going to take a while to build, but once it does, momentum is going to just continue to carry forward.
I love that. Build long-term habits. And the question to ask ourselves is if I look at last week, for example, what were my long-term habits and what were my short-term habits? Because we all have them, guys. I mean, none of us, all of us are work in progress, beautiful works in progress, right? And I took that away too, John. And Warren Buffett has had a full career out of this, right? Consistent career. He's always followed the process, right? He's got models and processes, right? Doesn't get real high, doesn't get real low. Sounds a little boring, Jonathan. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess that's how you become wealthy. There's a little boredom in there.
And I mean, Chris touched on that exact fact, right? Like most of us hate being bored. Like we run from boredom. And so that's why we're not consistent and we're not long-term focused, because we're like, oh shoot, like calling on the phones every day, that's really boring. I don't want to do that. I want to go do something different and great. Like while we should all have different pillars in our business, we need to start and face the boredom and realize that everyone is dealing with that boredom in their career one way or another, right? So you just have to be realistic with it and realize, hey, you are going to be bored and that's part of life. But that boredom and that suck and that focus is what's going to take you to being able to live the experiential life that you want to do, right? To be able to travel, to be able to spend time with your families. Suck it up, get through it, do the work, and then enjoy life.
I like that. I wrote down boredom is better than being broke. All right. Choose one. You can be broke or you can be bored. I don't know. I mean, but if you have enough money, you can also have lots of fun. So I mean, that'll work. I gotcha. I like that. Jonathan, that's awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Who's next? Who wants to share? Daniel Weiser, I saw your hand. Sorry, Casey.
Okay, so this is, I'm like laughing over here because mine and Anne's are, I'm not even joking, every bullet point was exactly the same for my ahas. So I was giving a little bit of time. I should have let Casey go first. But yeah, so the big life segment was one of my favorite thus far. And you know, vision is a decision that either you'll make for yourself or others will stand in the gap and make for you. And that was like that really hit home for me, because it's so easy just to like get wrapped up in the day in, day out and get unclear on your vision, and realizing, I mean, honestly, you're going to wake up one day and either someone has made that for you, or you held to that vision and you made that yours, branded to you. So that was really big. And, you know, what Anna was sharing too, the getting clear on your what and why. And I've been thinking about that a lot, because that obviously, you know, knowing what your why and what is, the how will show up, right? Getting clear on that, but also like revisiting that. I think that's what I've had to do over the past, getting into real estate was kind of survival, right? And so that was my how, right? And so now that it's working out, I'm revisiting, okay, so why am I staying in real estate, right? So now, if my work kind of starts slowing down, right? Revisiting, okay, what is my why? What is my what? Because the how is starting to not show up anymore. So let's revisit that and to figure out what it is, and then getting clear on that. And it's like the how just comes back stronger, right? So those were my few takeaways. I love that. I mean, it might be my I personality. I love that segment about big life. So those were definitely my takeaways.
Daniel, you know what's interesting to me? It's not like any of this is new information to you, right? Because I mean, like we've all heard this. This is not, if it is new information to any of us, like cool. But for most of us, it's not. You know what happens when you get out of, we always say working on your business versus in your business, right? When you are in a position, like right now, your headspace is opened up and you're able to hear that in a different way, because you're not like in the daily grind of that day to day. And so as we go through this year, I do know Ben is going to do another live event. It's going to be for all of our agents. It's going to be very fun. I think we'll have like 1,000 agents in the room, which will be very exciting. I have heard rumors of this. So I would encourage you when that opportunity comes up. It's not an opportunity just to be entertained or any of that, right? You know how I feel about entertaining. We are not here to entertain. I get that like movie thing. Are you not entertained? But it's an opportunity for you to work on your business in a different light, in a different space, to hear things in a different way, in a different perspective. And it hit you yesterday, and that's awesome. I'm glad for you. So sometimes you need to take that break. Sometimes you need to take that vacation. Sometimes you need to go to a conference and work on the business versus in the business. I'm not saying only do that, because that's a little weird. Let's not be extreme. But there's a balance. Thanks for sharing that, Daniel. Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Casey, I know you're dying. Tell us all the things.
Here, I'm very excited. Okay. But I also know we have like 5 more people left in 15
You're
minutes.
good. No, you're good.
Real quick, I promise. So the first thing that I just love Debbie DeGroat. She's like the super coach, right? And she was talking about sales versatility. And so I just love that she's like, ultimately, you're going to connect with people that are like you and that like you, right? And a lot of agents, they just get by with that. There's the ones that you're cross-styled with, or maybe they're older or they're younger or whatever, and you're just like, you don't really click, you don't really connect naturally. Those are the ones that we have to skill up and be able to influence, right? We have to be able to get out of our comfort zone and lean into that. So she talked about a few tools that will help us do that. One is the DISC. And I love the way that she taught it. Honestly, it's really similar to the way that we learn it, right? In our team, and just when we look at the DISC and understanding people, really using that as a tool. And then it wasn't yesterday, but on Tuesday, we heard about emotional intelligence also. And I think that's part of this conversation. So there's a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and there's a quiz that you can take to figure out your emotional intelligence and like how you rank, which I think is really great. And so I think that we're going to kind of implement a system of assessment. And I think a lot of us also took the DISC maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and things look different now. Maybe our natural style is the same, and maybe our adapted style is totally different. So it'd be really cool to like take a look at that and see, maybe we're going to connect with different people now, and maybe we have different strengths than we had when we started. And then I also, related to this conversation is hiring and leveraging IQ, because you can't hire EQ, right? Like you got to build that yourself, but you can't hire and leverage IQ, right? So I love Joseph's story, his shout out this morning about the team, right? Like Jen and Kim, the ones who are like short sale geniuses, we can lean on them and leverage them. But the EQ, that's up to Joseph, right? He's got to figure out how he can have that emotional quotient, that emotional intelligence to really connect with these clients, right? And so I love that. She also mentioned a couple other resources that are required reading in Austin, but Influence by Cialdini, talking about reciprocity, liking, all those principles of influence, and then also Never Split the Difference, right? Talking about tactical empathy. If you haven't read those books, definitely read those. I was so pumped when Debbie was talking about this. Everyone was looking at me like, this is your thing. And I was like, yep, it is. This is my thing. She's just like so on fire and electric when she talks about it. I was inspired for sure. And then the other thing that I was inspired by, surprise, surprise, was the lead generation panel. We had a few guys who were like really, really into that. I know, Adeline, it's shocking. But I love what they said, and it's so true. These guys are TLs, right? And they're looking at growing their business, but the same is true for agents. They said lead generation is the fastest way to scale, right? And what that means for us as agents is as you're building your database, you're creating deals for the future, right? You're creating a consistent and reliable business. And it's not just right now. It's the only way to set an appointment today is to call people. Right? For a lot of us, if you can't do an open house, if you're not going to go to a networking event, right? It's picking up the phone. But then you're also building your database, which I think is great. And then there was a really cool mindset thing. This is I have it in quotes. It's a finger quote thing, but I think it was Scott from Aurora, Colorado, who said, "Stop wasting your time with people who've already said yes to you," right? And I think what he means is we overcomplicate things with our active clients so that we can spend more time with them instead of having to go generate new clients, right?
No
And
way.
I've
No
been
way.
I know, right? Yeah, it hit home for me. And if I felt that way, I know that probably everyone has felt that way, right? We don't always want to lead generate, but I think it's important to note when something is actually important for our current clients and stuff, and when we need to go just find more clients and feed our business, feed our database. So they talked about doing what it takes to connect with new people, and having more lead generation levers too, right? Like as we're going into this market and there's uncertainty, there are certain parts of real estate, certain like spheres where we're not always working. And so they brought up ideas like probates, right? Divorce attorneys, right? There's different ways that we can make connections with people who run estate sales, right? They would be great to connect with. And maybe that feels like an awkward conversation, or maybe that feels maybe predatory, but like think about it from the person who's going through that tough situation, right? Like they need someone who's a trusted advisor who is actually going to have the resources to help them and the heart to help, right? And so we really want someone like us to be reaching out to those people. And so I think it's really cool to just reach out and say, hey, I noticed that you had this life change happen. I am a real estate advisor. Do you have any real estate that needs to be assessed so that you can make an educated decision when the time comes, right? That there's really low pressure, really, coming from contribution. I love that idea. But yeah, there's, we talked about retirement homes at dinner, right? Daniel was talking about how we've been like downloading at the end of the day. That is also another thing, right? In retirement homes, they have a lot of decisions to make, and they don't want to leave that to their family. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of things that maybe, and this circles back to what Lucas was talking about. Anne mentioned this. You can look at like difficult scenarios through a lens of pain, or you can look at it through a lens of like opportunity, right? And we can provide that opportunity to people. I loved it.
That's awesome. I love the word assessed. Assessed. Do you have any real estate that needs to be assessed? It's a less predatory script. And I would write this down if you guys zoned out just for a second. I'm sure you guys didn't, because you guys are amazing. But everyone has scripts. Everyone has scripts. It's a matter of whether they work or not. If you're not learning the right scripts, you're already saying scripts. They're just not working. Everyone has scripts. It's a matter of whether they work or not. Thanks for providing that feedback and that perspective and that script, Casey. Who's next? Michael. Oh, all right. I'll come right back to you. Michael, you go first, then I'm going to Kayla.
Okay.
I think, or whoever. Yes. Michael, yes. Go, bud.
Okay, so my ahas are like all over the place because they all intertwined. And
Okay.
the one thing that everyone kept circling back to is long term. So it goes back to when Chris first started talking about the delayed gratification, the instant gratification. It goes back to when you were talking, when you started your business, you called 300 people, got 10 people out of it. It took you, it didn't, your success didn't happen overnight. And like, that's one thing that us as agents, we have to learn. And like Chris said, delayed gratification is a learned behavior. We're always after the instant. We want to be big. We want to be number one. We always want to be on top of everybody else and beat everybody. But instant gratification comes to an end. Delayed gratification is the one that's going to continue your, I guess, like your happiness. That's when you know your success has proven itself, because it just keeps going and going, and it's not going to end after 2 years of you being burnt out and killing yourself day after day trying to meet those 60 houses a year, that 100,000 GCI, whatever your goal is. So that's my biggest takeaway is slow down, take care of yourself. like Chris said at the end, live an experiential life. Go travel. Don't wait 10 years like one guy said. He waited 10 years to go on vacation. Like, and that's one thing that, like I'm gonna say again, us as agents, we don't know that. We just want to keep hustling, and make as much money as we can. And then going back to the admin side, like when you were talking, I think Jacqueline said this, that at the beginning of her career with her team, she was just hiring everyone, trying to make everyone happy. And now we have to do those 300 calls to get the 10 right people. You still have 8 of those people. So, I mean, it's proven that you took your time, called 300 people, got the right 10 people, and 8 people are still, 8 of your agents, 8 of your team leads are still with you. So you have to make the best hire for you. And then like you said, you don't want renters, you want owners. So that's what we're gonna start going after. We're gonna go after
What does
owners.
that mean? What does that mean? Like real estate owners or real estate renters? What when you heard that, what did that mean to you?
I looked at it in both ways. As in real estate, I mean, we're gonna go after the renters so that they can become owners. I mean, that's one way. Convert them. We had a conversation with Pedro Casanova yesterday, and that's one thing that he was saying is these people are renting a 2-bedroom house. Why don't you convert them into an owner of a 2-bedroom condo? And then on the admin side, the renters, we don't want someone that's going to come in and just go day by day, do what they need to do the first 45 days and then quit. We want someone that's going to own the business, that's going to be our partner in the business and continue growing our business year after year, someone that we're going to be able to retain within our team.
John, love that share.
That's how I see that one.
I love that. That's an amazing share. Thank you so much, Michael. Kayla, I'm going to you, girlfriend. I hear you're getting on a plane right after this, so we appreciate you joining us.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting like literally right next to Michael, so we both had to turn down our phones. Yes, I have to get back to El Paso, but it's been an amazing experience. Michael just stole all my ahas, just FYI. I started off with Ben, the daily planning that he talked about, taking 5 to 10 minutes to plan your day, your next day is crucial for me. I think we need to really take into consideration that real estate, in order to be successful, you have to be organized. And so for me, that has been the biggest thing that I struggled with, because when you, as a newer agent, I feel like real estate can be extremely overwhelming, especially when you first start. And so for me, that was something that helped me to really, really write down my thoughts. I cannot do the iPhone Google Calendar. For me, it's old school, write it down in paper, pen and paper. And so I love that he talked about the 5 to 10 minutes, think about the next day. What does winning look like? So with that being said, list your priorities. List 1 to 5 priorities that you have to get done, with lead genning being the number 1. And I'm going to be very vulnerable right now. And I'm going to say that lead genning for me is sometimes, if I have a situation come up, I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And then I throw my lead genning aside. And what we don't realize is that if we don't lead gen, we won't have any business. And I've seen that. I've rode that roller coaster before. So that really hit hard for me, because I've had instances where I have 2-3 great months, and then the next month is crappy because I didn't lead gen, because I put priorities in front of priorities. And so I love that he said that. So that's definitely something that I'm going to implement, of lead genning, regardless of what's going on. There's certain things that can wait. I love that he talked about rituals, taking a break, reading, hydrating, taking some time for yourself every 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, we get burnt out. So regardless if we're in front of our computer for more than 90 minutes, we're not being as productive as we should be because we're so burnt out on things. We need to take that time to take a break, hydrate, read, go to the gym for 30 minutes, anything like that. I loved what Chris Suarez was talking about with instant gratification. That really hit hard for me. Again, as a newer agent, we want to see results right away. And sometimes that doesn't work. You know, we're so used to getting that high dopamine in us that we get the instant gratification. And then if we don't have it, we end up making bizarre decisions like, this isn't for me, this isn't, I'm not going to be successful. And so I love that he talked about train ourselves to build, train our brains to build long-term gratification, willing to exchange present sacrifices for the future. So with that being said, he compared Warren Buffett to, I believe his name is Jim Simmons. And he talked about how they're investing. Jim Simmons has a lot more money, but he's an example of instant gratification. He has the highest rate of return, but Warren Buffett he has 21% return, highest return over so many years. So with that being said, consistency. It's great to sell 4 or 5 houses in a month, but if you're not going to do it consistently, what is it? I mean, how is that going to work?
What was the point? Yeah. What was the point? What was the point?
So I love that he talked about being consistent. Every day is day one, long-term focus. So regardless if you fail one day, you always start again with saying, this is day one. I'm going to do my best that I can. I'm going to be consistent. And I think that's where the calendar comes into place, where you plan out your day, you plan out your priorities. What does winning look like today? And so I love that was, that he talked about that. I also love that he talked, what did we talk about? Let's see. Sorry, it was all over the place as well, like Mike said. I loved how Chris Suarez talked about experiential lives. He said his goal for being, his motto was build experiential lives through real estate, integrating work with life experience. And I love that because sometimes we get so wrapped up in our work that we forget to live. And so I love that he said that. He even mentioned, he's like, I don't even know if that's a word or not, but for me, it's living an integrated life that allows me to work and learn and still have my family time and still be able to go spend time with my family. And that's what he wants us to do. As a leader of our team, I feel like that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to be able to have a little bit of both. And so to me, that was very, have a purpose for family and have a purpose for work. So I love that. The whole thing has been amazing. I love that he talked about don't be afraid of partnership. Sometimes we being on a team, we think of competition, and yes, we're in a very competitive line of work, but we also need to think about it as a family and helping one another. You know, just because one person is successful doesn't mean that you don't have to be successful. Learn from that person, pick their brain, get the ahas from them, and be willing to also share yours and how to help others become successful. So those were my ahas yesterday.
The world is big enough for all of us.
Exactly.
There are enough houses in all of our markets for all of us to sell like 1,000 homes, y'all.
Yes.
Like, listen, the world is a big place. Kayla, thank you so much. What a pleasure it was to have you. Michaela, you are another ops brain. It's such a pleasure getting to know you. For everyone who doesn't know Michaela, she's newer to our company. She is with Sarissa's team. She's the operations manager there. Michaela, what were your takeaways? And then I'm going to go to Laura, and Laura's going to wrap us. And just so you guys know, who is here here for the partner day. And how long did we go over? How long did Ben have us? 2 hours. You guys, we're going to go over by 15 minutes. And that's it. Ben made us go over 2 whole hours. I'm like a hero right now. Just kidding. Michaela, yes, ma'am. Let's go.
Thanks, Adelina. Since Anne and Daniel literally stole all of my points, I've been combing through all of my notes, trying to find something to stand out. But honestly, it was all so great. I think the biggest thing is that Ben mentioned at the beginning of the day, we can set all these amazing goals for ourselves, whether you want to lose 80 pounds or save $1,000, save $10 million. But unless you can start with that 1 pound or that $1, you're never going to reach the end of it. So, just something to keep in mind, that you need to work on those or make those bite-sized daily attainable goals for yourself to be able to reach the big goal. I think, a little bit of that gratification, that validation when you hit that first little goal will help propel you, to the end goal. And then the second thing is just, it's been really neat to experience your team, Adelina. You guys kind of took me under your wing the first night. It was so nice to meet all you guys. And it's awesome to see what Place has done, for the teams, everyone in general. I started with Sarissa's team after Place was already in place. So I don't know anything different. I just think that, the whole, especially on the ops side, everyone being so ready to help. There's like 50 emails that come across every single day with every single topic under the sun. There's always somebody to reach out to. There's someone who's done or had the same problem that you've had already. And everyone's so willing just to jump in and help, not only on the operations side, but, like the Austin team, getting to meet Sharon and Mary, it was amazing. You guys are super awesome. But just all the teams in general. I got to meet some teams from California, from the East Coast. And yeah, it's awesome what Place is. It's just been neat to see it kind of in action and put actual faces to all the little Zoom boxes that I've been seeing for the past 5 months.
I love that. And you bring up a good topic, culture. So everybody zoom back in for a second. Culture is something that we all create, right? Culture is something we all create and we all protect and we all accelerate, right? This is not something that I create. It's not something that your team leader only creates. Culture is all of us, right? Like if someone doesn't step up, right? If somebody's just, if maybe your team lead's having a bad day, bad week, bad season, bad year, I don't know. Sometimes people do. It's up to you as a owner versus a renter mindset in this business to show up as a leader, right? Like leadership has no position, right? Leadership that isn't leadership. Leadership is leading by example. Leadership isn't who's the owner. Leadership isn't who's the person who makes the most money, who's in charge. I bet you Ben was leading much before he was the Ben Kinney of today, right? I would imagine that Laura was a leader before she owned 20 investment properties and a couple cattle ranches and 6,000 acres. And right, these people showed up as leaders way before we saw them as leaders, right? And every time that someone maybe in our organization, because we're not perfect, none of us are perfect. When someone in our organization doesn't show up as the leader that we expected them to, we can be a victim and say, that's not what I signed up for. Or we can go into it and we can say, oh my gosh, what an opportunity to lead. I love that you said that you had such a great time, because it is the compound effect of many people willing to lead. I just pick up the check. That is my role in it, Michaela. So I'm grateful for everyone who made you feel like it was an amazing dinner, an amazing night. Laura, wrap us up. What do you think? You've been here a while.
Sorry, I was having a problem unmuting there. Can you guys hear me all right?
Oh yeah, Laura's sitting outside our hotel room right now because she's the one that had to sit outside in the cold, not me. See,
It is actually
I told you. tell us all the things. Or a few
Okay, so
things.
I have well, I have a lot of ahas, but I'm going to share 3 with you that I think are really, that really resonated with me this time around. Every time we come to one of these things, maybe because we're in a different stage in our lives, different things resonate. This time, for me, it's the reminder across the stage that it is our job to make wealth building opportunities available to our people. And by that, I mean your clients. When you speak to your clients, don't present yourself as a realtor or a real estate agent. You're a real estate expert who specializes in helping people build wealth through real estate. That one was huge for me because a lot of times, and I hear it all the time, well, I'm just a realtor or I'm just an agent. And no, you are not. In order to get to that level of confidence, though, product knowledge comes first. Like you have to know your market. You have to study it every single day. I think it was Ernie Carswell, whoever the luxury guy was. He said, have 10 cocktail topics available to you that you've practiced, that you've rehearsed, that you can talk about everywhere you go. And that's what will set you apart as a professional. The other part of how I built my ahas today is tying it into the investment conversation when, and I don't remember who said it, so I'm not even going to try to do that, but it was one of the guys that was talking about investing in Georgia, and they said, as real estate agents, as real estate professionals, we have an opportunity to go and buy property more than anybody else. Just buy the first one, because speaking with conviction about a topic comes from the experience of having done it.
Yeah, I what I thought about when he said that was, hello, the best way to work with investors is buy an investment property so you actually know what that feels like, what that looks like, and all of a sudden you have like that conviction to go do it. And by the way, does it have to be a $500,000 investment property? No, I'm pretty sure you can buy like some cheapos up in Waco or wherever. I mean, you know, you can spend like, you can take your commission check and practically buy a house in some of these places.
Yeah, and I mean, when I bought my very first property, I started to speak like an investor. My goodness, who cared that it was a $50,000 crappy house in the south part of Midland? But I was an investor. I owned rental properties, and that gave me a new level of newfound confidence that just comes from doing it. It just comes from living.
He called it jargon. Is that the word, jargon? Like there's retail jargon, like when you have
Yes.
residential real estate, and then when you have investment real estate, it's just a different language, and you got to learn that.
Yeah, you speak a different language. And people who are truly investors, and I think that's a very key point to differentiate, is flipping and wholesaling are not investing. Holding property is investing. But that's something that I'm rambling about. The third aha came from Elizabeth Alcott in the luxury panel, and it was very simple. It was that she made a choice to increase her price point by 20% every year. And then she built her activities in order to achieve that around that goal. That was super powerful to me. She didn't just become a luxury agent by luck or because she is amazing, but it didn't just fall in her lap because she's special. She was purposeful about it. She decided, and that is a key word. She decided she was going to be a luxury agent. She was going to accomplish it over time at a trackable rate. And we all can do that. So if you are one of those people, I mean, if you're one of those people that says, well, my price point is really low, you're lucky. No, you can change that. You can make a decision to change that.
I love that. Trackable. 20% is trackable, you guys, right? 20% is trackable. The activities you do around that are trackable. And you know what happens when the what and the why show up, the how becomes real easy. That's really, really good. I want to wrap this with a couple questions. I would write this down because this one like jarred me the second that it was asked. How many of you How many of us feel like we reached 100% of our potential last year? Anybody in the room, 100% of your potential last year? Anybody? Me either. So what got in the way? Where's the resistance? Where's the friction? Where's the mindset? Where's the lack of something? A habit, leverage, not plugging into leverage. I don't know. But if you're at 100%, awesome. I want to hear you on a panel, future panel. Please let me know. If you're at 50%, how do you get to 60%? If you're at 10%, how do you get to 20%? Right? And this is just we're based on your potential. Not how hard you worked, not how hard I worked, not how hard any of us worked, but based on our potential. Where were we? And then the second question, what is my hourly rate and how do I increase that? What is my hourly rate and how do I increase that? What is my hourly rate and how do I increase that? Michaela said, if you want to be a millionaire and you can't save $1, you're not going to get there. If you want to be a millionaire and you can't save $1, you're not going to get there. You got to be able to save $1 to get $100. You got to save $100 to get to $1,000. You got to save $1,000 to get to 10,000, 10,000 to get to 100, 100 to get to $1 million, right? There is a process to everything, right? And so we all have friends who want to be investors, right? Well, if you want to be an investor, you got to have some money, right? And that's why we sell real estate. So we have an actual commission check that we can actually pay our taxes with, pay our bills with, and have some money to invest with. And then Barb Dopp told a story about when she joined Chris. She was like, Chris, my word for the year is accelerate. And he said, what did he say? Who heard it? Congratulations, you get to slow down, right? That is the only way you get to accelerate. You slow down, man, and that's uncomfortable. Laura, did you get your hand up? Were you going to tell us something about investing?
No, I'll wait until you're finished. I just wanted to say one last thing, but
okay, yes, please. Okay, so Ryan Hansen, write this down. You know when you get those seller leads for like market reports and stuff like that, you know how fast he sends out a CMA? 15 minutes. 15 minutes. I'm gonna have Ryan on here. Sharon knows Ryan real well, and she's gonna hook us up. But 15 minutes, you guys. There's a reason the guy is converting. He sends out his CMAs 15 minutes after they come in as a lead. So I thought that was really cool. And on the topic of luxury, I love that Laura brought that up. Elizabeth said they don't expect you to be wealthy, but they do expect you to be well informed. You do not need to be wealthy to work in the luxury sector, but you sure as hell have to be well informed. Laura, going to you and then wrap.
The last thing I just wanted to share is the common theme the whole day was there is no elevator to success. There's a process to everything. In order to be successful, you have to take the stairs.
That is right on. The number one request I get from you guys is book recommendations. I have a few of them. Simply Said, 7 Powers of Questions, Atomic Habits, Quadrants, The Distracted Mind, and Rocket Fuel. Those came up yesterday. Cash Flow Quadrants, The Distracted Mind, Richest Man in Babylon came up, and Rocket Fuel. I wrote those down for you because I get those texts every week. Guys, such a pleasure. We will see you next week. I have such a long list of amazing speakers for us this year. I come to these things and I'm like, who speaks well and who speaks on a topic that we all need to hear differently, right? No new information on any of this. We just need to hear it differently. That's it. Love you guys. See you guys next week. Have a good rest of your day. Go get some business. See you later. Bye, guys.